There's a tin sitting in your cupboard right now with a little key on the side, and it might be the most useful thing you own. A single tin of corned beef costs less than £2, yet it can stretch into 4, 5, even 6 proper dinners, each one warm, filling, and ready in minutes. For anyone cooking for just themselves, that isn't merely thrifty, it's a small daily miracle. Number 14 on this list was a Sunday favourite that costs barely 30 pence a plate. And number 3? Most folk have quietly forgotten it, though it once fed half the street. Before we begin, do hit that subscribe button. Now let's count down 25 cheap corned beef dinners that cost mere pennies. Number 25. Corned beef on toast. Let's start with the simplest supper there is. A thick slice of bread under the grill, a few slabs of corned beef laid on top, and a generous squiggle of brown sauce. Slide it back under the heat for 2 minutes until the edges of the beef catch and crisp, and you have a hot meal in under 5 minutes for around 25 pence a plate. For anyone cooking for one, this is the dinner that asks nothing of you on a tired evening. No pans to scrub, no standing over the hob. Some like a slice of cheese melted over the top so it bubbles and browns. Others prefer a smear of butter underneath to keep the toast soft in the middle. It's the kind of meal that feels like a small kindness to yourself at the end of a long day, and it costs next to nothing to make. Number 24. The proper corned beef sandwich. Not the limp, shop-bought kind in plastic, but a doorstep sandwich made with care. Cut 2 thick slices of fresh white bread, butter them right to the edges, and lay on 3 or 4 slices of corned beef. Then comes the secret, a spoonful of Branston pickle or a few discs of pickled beetroot, sharp and sweet against the rich, salty meat. Press it down, cut it corner to corner, and you have a lunch that costs perhaps 30 pence, yet feels like a treat. Generations of working men carried this very sandwich down the pit and into the mill, wrapped in greaseproof paper. For one person now, it is a meal that needs no cooking at all, ready in the time it takes the kettle to boil for a brew alongside it. Number 23. Corned beef and beetroot. This was a cold plate staple long before salads came in bags. Slice the corned beef thick and fan it across the plate. Then add a generous pile of pickled beetroot, a few spring onions, and a spoonful of salad cream. In summer it was tea on a warm evening when nobody wanted the oven on, and in winter it sat alongside a hot boiled potato. The beetroot stains the plate a deep crimson and cuts through the fat of the beef beautifully. A whole plate comes in at around 40 pence, and it requires nothing more than a sharp knife and a steady hand. For a senior living alone, it's a meal that delivers a proper sit-down dinner with no washing up beyond a single fork. Number 22. Corned beef fritters. Here the humble tin becomes something almost fancy. Mash a few slices of corned beef into a simple batter of flour, an egg, and a splash of milk. Season well with pepper, then drop spoonfuls into a little hot oil. They puff and turn golden in a couple of minutes, crisp on the outside and soft within. 3 or 4 fritters with a spoonful of beans or a dab of ketchup make a filling supper for around 35 pence. The trick is to get the oil properly hot before the batter goes in, so it seals and crisps rather than soaking up grease. This was a Friday favorite in homes where meat was dear, a way of turning a few pence of beef into something that sizzled and felt indulgent. Number 21. Corned beef omelette. Beat 2 eggs in a bowl, fold in a handful of diced corned beef, and pour the lot into a hot, buttered pan. As it sets, the beef warms through and releases its savory richness into the egg. Fold it over, slide it onto a plate, and you have a meal that is ready in 4 minutes flat and costs roughly 40 pence. For anyone cooking for one, the omelette is the perfect single portion. No leftovers to worry about, no waste. A little grated cheese melted in, or a few cold cooked potatoes added for heft, turns it into something more substantial. It is gentle on the digestion, soft to eat, and warming on a cold night, which makes it a quiet favorite for older folk who want something nourishing without any fuss. Number 20. Corned beef and fried egg. Slice the corned beef thick and fry the slices gently in a dry pan until the edges crisp and brown, then crack an egg in alongside. The beef takes on a wonderful caramelized crust, while the egg yolk stays soft and golden, ready to run across everything on the plate. Serve with a slice of fried bread to mop it all up, and you have a fry-up supper for under 45 pence. This was the meal a man came home to after a hard shift, and it remains one of the most satisfying plates you can make from a tin. The smell of beef and egg sizzling together fills a small kitchen in moments. It's quick, it's hot, and it reminds you that a good dinner needn't cost the earth. Number 19. The corned beef toasty. Long before fancy sandwich presses, this was made under the grill or in a heavy frying pan. Butter the outsides of 2 slices of bread, fill with corned beef and a little grated cheese and onion, then press and toast until the outside is crisp and golden and the inside is molten. The cheese binds with the beef into a savory, oozing center that needs eating with a plate underneath to catch the drips. A whole toasty costs around 40 pence and fills you properly. The clever bit is to keep the heat moderate so the bread toasts slowly while the filling has time to warm right through. For one person, it is a complete meal that uses up the heel of a loaf and a slice or 2 of beef, and it tastes far better than anything from a shop. Number 18. Corned beef savory rice. Boil a mug of rice until tender, then stir through diced corned beef, a handful of frozen peas and sweet corn, a chopped onion softened in a little oil, and a good shake of curry powder or paprika. Everything comes together in one pan, which means one thing to wash up. The rice soaks up the flavor of the beef as it warms, and the vegetables add color and sweetness. A generous bowl costs around 40 pence and makes a proper hot dinner from store-cupboard odds and ends. This was the meal that used up whatever was lurking in the freezer drawer, and it is endlessly forgiving. For a senior cooking alone, it is filling, balanced, and the kind of thing you can make a little extra of to warm through the next day. Number 17. Corned beef macaroni cheese. Cook a handful of macaroni. Stir it into a simple cheese sauce made from a knob of butter, a spoon of flour, milk, and grated cheese, then fold through chunks of corned beef. Tip it into a small dish, scatter more cheese on top, and brown it under the grill until bubbling and golden. The beef adds a meaty depth that turns a plain pasta supper into something properly filling, all for about 50 pence a portion. The sauce need not be perfect. Even a few lumps do no harm to the comfort of it. This is the dish for a cold, grey evening when you want something warm and stodgy and kind. Made in a single small dish, it's an ideal one-person size, and the leftovers, if there are any, reheat beautifully the following day. Number 16. Corned beef jacket potato. Bake a potato until the skin is crisp and the inside fluffy. Then split it open and pile in diced corned beef, a spoonful of baked beans, and a little grated cheese. The heat of the potato warms the beef through, the beans add moisture and sweetness, and the cheese melts into the lot. It is a complete dinner on a single plate for around 45 pence. If the oven feels like too much for one, The potato can be started in the microwave and finished under the grill to crisp the skin. This was a quick, dependable supper that asked for nothing fancy, and it remains one of the best value hot meals you can make. For anyone living alone, it is filling, comforting, and needs no side dish at all. Number 15. Corned beef curry. This may sound unusual, but it was a genuine tea-time staple in British kitchens, born of necessity and curiosity. Soften a chopped onion in a little oil, stir in a tablespoon of curry powder until fragrant, then add a chopped tomato, a splash of water, and cubes of corned beef. Let it simmer gently for 10 minutes until thick and rich. Served over rice, it makes a warming, spiced dinner for around 55 pence. The beef holds its shape and soaks up the spices, while a spoonful of mango chutney on the side lifts the whole plate. This was Britain learning to love a curry on a budget, long before takeaways arrived on every corner. It is gentle, hearty, and proof that a tin of beef can travel a very long way in flavor. Number 14. Corned beef and cabbage. Here is that 30 pence Sunday favorite. Boil a few wedges of cabbage and a couple of potatoes until tender. Then in the last few minutes, add slices of corned beef to warm through in the same pan. Drain, plate up, and finish with a knob of butter melting over the cabbage and a good grind of pepper. The cabbage turns soft and sweet. The potatoes soak up the buttery juices, and the beef brings the meat without the cost of a joint. It's an old boiled dinner stripped right back, the sort of plate that warmed cold cottages for generations. For a senior living alone, it's gentle, soft to eat, and made in a single pot. A whole plate of it costs barely more than a few coppers, yet it eats like a proper Sunday roast in miniature. Number 13. Corned beef broth. When the weather turns and you want something to sit by the fire with, this is the answer. Soften an onion, a carrot, and a stick of celery in a pan. Add a crumbled stock cube and a pint of water, then a handful of diced corned beef and a spoonful of barley or some small pasta. Let it simmer until everything is tender and the broth turns rich and savory. A big bowl with bread on the side costs around 45 pence and warms you from the inside out. This was the pot that simmered on the back of the stove all afternoon, topped up day by day. Made for one, a single batch gives you 2 bowls, one for tonight and one for tomorrow, which is exactly the kind of thrift that keeps a small kitchen running on very little. Number 12. Corned beef bubble and squeak. Take yesterday's leftover potato and cabbage, mash them roughly together, then fold through chopped corned beef. Press the mixture into a hot, greased pan and fry until the bottom crisps into a deep, golden crust. Then turn it and crisp the other side. The name comes from the hiss and squeak of the vegetables in the pan, and the smell of it browning is pure comfort. A generous plateful, topped with a fried egg if you fancy, costs around 40 pence and uses up what would otherwise be thrown away. This was the meal that made sure nothing went to waste, and the beef turns a humble side dish into a full supper. For anyone cooking alone, it's a brilliant way to turn one dinner's leftovers into the next day's hot meal. Number 11. Corned beef rissoles. These little fried patties were once on every kitchen table, though many have forgotten them now. Mash corned beef with cold mashed potato, a chopped onion, and a good seasoning of pepper and a dash of brown sauce. Shape the mixture into flat rounds. Dip them in a little flour or breadcrumb, then fry until crispy and golden on both sides. 2 or 3 rissoles with beans or peas make a hearty dinner for around 40 pence. The potato keeps them soft inside, while the crust turns satisfyingly crunchy. This was the clever way of stretching a small amount of meat to fill a whole plate, a true make-do dish. They freeze well, too, so a senior living alone can make a batch and keep a few ready for the evenings when cooking feels like too much effort. Number 10. Corned beef and dumplings. Make a quick stew base by softening an onion and a chopped carrot, adding a crumbled stock cube and water, then dropping in cubes of corned beef. While it simmers, mix a few light dumplings from self-raising flour and suet with a splash of water, then sit them on top and cover the pan so they steam and swell. In 20 minutes, the dumplings puff up pillowy and soft, soaking the savory gravy beneath. A bowl of this costs around 55 pence and is about as comforting as a meal can get. The rattle of the lid as the dumplings rise is a sound that carries memories in it. For one, half the batch tonight and half tomorrow makes 2 warming dinners from a single pot and a single tin. Number 9. Corned beef stew. This is the workhorse of the list, the dinner that fills you on the coldest night. Brown an onion, add diced potato, carrot, and a crumbled stock cube with enough water to cover, then simmer until the vegetables are nearly soft. Stir in cubes of corned beef for the last few minutes so they hold together rather than dissolving. The result is thick, rich, and deeply savory, the potatoes breaking down to thicken the gravy. A big bowl costs around 50 pence, and a single pot gives 2 or 3 servings. This was the stew that stretched a tin across several days, topped up and reheated as needed. For a senior alone, it's the perfect batch meal, easy to make, gentle to eat, and even better on the second day when the flavors have had time to settle. Number 8. Corned beef stovies. Up in Scotland, this dish is near sacred. Slice potatoes and onions and layer them in a heavy pan with a little dripping or oil. Season well. Add a splash of water, then cook low and slow with the lid on until the potatoes are meltingly soft. Halfway through, stir in chunks of corned beef so it breaks down into the potato and flavors the whole pot. The bottom catches a little and turns golden and sticky, which is the prized part. A generous plateful comes in at around 45 pence and fills you completely. Stovies were the Monday dinner made from Sunday's leftovers, but corned beef makes them any day of the week. For one person, it's a single-pan supper that needs only patience, and the smell of onions softening fills the whole house with warmth. Number 7. Corned beef pasty. Roll out a little short crust pastry. Pile 1/2 with diced corned beef, finely chopped potato and onion. Season well, then fold over and crimp the edge into a thick rope. Brush with a little milk or beaten egg and bake until deep golden. The pastry crisps while the filling steams soft inside, and the whole thing can be eaten hot from the plate or cold the next day. One pasty costs around 50 pence and makes a proper portable dinner. This was the meal that travelled in a coat pocket to the field or the factory, a complete dinner wrapped in its own crust. Made at home for one, a single batch yields a few pasties to keep in the fridge, ready to warm through whenever the evening calls for something hearty and handheld. Number 6. Corned beef and tomato bake. Slice the corned beef and layer it in a small dish with sliced tomatoes and onions. Season generously. Then pour over a little stock or a splash of milk and scatter the top with breadcrumbs or grated cheese. Bake until the top is golden and the tomatoes have collapsed into a rich, tangy sauce around the beef. A portion costs around 50 pence and makes a soft, savory dinner that needs only a slice of bread to finish it. The acidity of the tomato cuts beautifully through the richness of the beef, and the whole thing bubbles away with very little attention. This was a way of brightening up the tin with whatever was in the bowl. and it is an easy, forgiving bake. For one, a small dish made in the oven gives a hot dinner now and a second helping tomorrow. Number 5. Corned beef cottage pie. Here the tin reaches its full glory. Soften an onion, add a crumbled stock cube, a spoonful of tomato puree, and a little water. Then stir in cubes of corned beef and a handful of peas to make a rich filling. Spoon it into a small dish. Top with mashed potato. Rough up the surface with a fork and bake until the peaks turn crisp and golden. A portion costs around 55 pence and eats like a meal fit for a special occasion. The mash crisps on top while the beefy filling bubbles beneath, and the smell of it browning is the smell of a proper home-cooked dinner. For a senior living alone, this is comfort food at its finest, made in a single small dish, and the leftovers reheat into an equally good supper the following evening. Number 4. Corned beef plate pie. This was the centerpiece of many a tea table, a true homemade favorite. Line a plate or shallow tin with short crust pastry, fill it with diced corned beef, soft cooked potato, and onion bound with a little gravy, then top with a pastry lid, and crimp the edges shut. Bake until the crust is deep golden and the filling is piping hot. A slice costs around 50 pence, and a whole pie stretches across several meals, hot with gravy one night and cold the next. The pastry holds everything together into neat, sliceable portions, perfect for a single person to cut as needed. This was the pie that sat proudly in the larder, sliced for visitors and weekday teas alike. It's a little more effort than the rest of the list, but the reward is a dinner that feels generous and genuinely homemade. Number 3. Corned beef and onion pie. The one half the street once made, and many have now forgotten. The difference from the plate pie is all in the filling. Corned beef mashed with a great quantity of slowly softened onion, bound with a thick, savory gravy until rich and almost spreadable. Encased in pastry and baked until golden, the onion turns sweet and silky against the salty beef, and the filling stays moist and luscious. A slice costs around 50 pence and a whole pie keeps for days. This was the pie that filled lunchboxes and lined Sunday tables long before the shop-bought tinned versions arrived. The secret is patience with the onions, letting them cook down gently until they almost melt. For one person, baked and sliced, it gives a string of warming dinners from a single tin and a couple of onions. Number 2. Corned beef and mash with onion gravy. Sometimes the best dinner is the plainest. Make a mound of buttery mashed potato, lay thick slices of corned beef over it, then smother the lot in a rich onion gravy made from a sliced onion softened slowly in a pan with a crumbled stock cube and a little gravy browning. The gravy soaks into the mash, the beef warms through, and a few peas on the side complete it. A full plate costs around 50 pence and eats like a proper Sunday dinner in miniature. This is the meal that needs no clever trick, just good mash and a generous ladle of gravy. For a senior living alone, it's soft, warming, and deeply familiar. The sort of plate that tastes of home and asks for nothing more than a fork and an appetite. And finally, in first place, number 1. Corned beef hash. The undisputed king of the tin. Fry a chopped onion until soft and golden, add cubes of cold boiled potato and let them crisp at the edges. Then stir in diced corned beef and press the whole lot down so the bottom catches and forms a deep, savory crust. Some splash in a little Worcestershire sauce. Others crack an egg on top to finish. The hash is turned and crisped until brown in patches, the potato and beef melding into one rich, satisfying plateful. A generous serving costs around 45 pence and uses nothing but cupboard and leftover odds and ends. This was the dinner that fed Britain through lean times and never stopped being loved. For anyone cooking for one, it is the perfect single-pan supper, hot, filling, and ready in minutes. The smell of it crisping in the pan is the smell of 100 kitchens, and it remains, after all these years, the very best thing you can make from a humble little tin. So there you have it, 25 dinners from one cheap tin, each one a hot meal for pennies. Try just one this week, perhaps the hash, or the broth that warms you through. Then tell me in the comments which corned beef dinner your family swore by, because some of these have been quietly feeding people for generations, and they deserve to be remembered. Thanks for watching.